Holy shit. I had no idea that this titling a video multiculturalism, talking about segregation, uh, would would bring this out of the woodwork. Okay, many things in no particular order. First of all, urban crime. Now, I think urban crime um, has to do more with economics and bad city planning than it does with immigration. But I find that I can easily allow, for the sake of argument, this ludicrous idea that it's to be blamed on multiculturalism, and judge that even if so, it would be a minor cost compared to the benefits. What is the benefits? Well, when you isolate yourself in borders, what do you get? War. The cost of war is far greater than all of the urban crime put together on the Earth planet. It can point to bombs that have killed more innocent people that didn't want anything to do with the conflict going on between their nations than all the urban crime worldwide for a year or probably multiple years. I'll have to wait to be specific till I do the math. And the fact that I haven't done the math more carefully, by all means, go off and look it up, see if I'm wrong. I won't be. And many of the people advocating this kind of, we should keep to our own kind. Oh, I hate that. See, my kind is the kind that doesn't want to keep to my own kind. I don't like tribalism, pack thinking. I like individual choice. I like individuals get to create their own individual culture from the grab bag. They could disrespect the traditions they want to disrespect and embrace the ones they want to respect. To the limit being that we have to share a common law regarding human rights. I'm not into the debate of whether you should beat your wife with a belt or with with thatch. How about neither? And I'm not really defending cultures at all. I mean, some people, Anti-Prophet, for example, is posing, or really is, who knows, whatever, as a protector of cultural and cultural history. I don't care to protect that. I'm protecting the individual choice and a free market of cultural, parts that someone can adopt. They can adopt, and generally when they adopt them, they change them. It's like, oh, I love Thai food, but not really this part. I don't want squids as much as I want something else. Okay, and I'm fine with that. Now there is preservation in this case, but there's not like the active practice, and who cares? I'm not thinking in terms of the cultural rights. Okay, I'm thinking in terms of individual rights. I like choice. Having many cultures increases the number of choices. In terms of this idea of pack tribalism, and that's our genetic tendency. People want to be with their own kind. Well, okay. I mean, the reason you can use that argument is some people go, yeah, I want to be with my own kind. I don't. I feel very uncomfortable if I'm with a bunch of people like me. Monoculture bores me, and if anything, is the thing that I would be frightened of. Okay. I find that I've learned many things in my life. And I learn generally from things that people disagree about. Even if I can't decide which side I'm on in the controversy, just learning about the controversy gives me more knowledge, more, sub ideas that I do find than finding out what everybody thinks and going, oh, well, I should probably think it. I mean, geez, lots of smart people have all agreed. That's my tendency. That's my natural urge to learn from the controversies, from the differences. Okay. So that's the kind of person I am. Am I in a minority? Yeah, well, so was Homo sapiens at one time, right? Just a small band was born onto this branch that would become Homo sapiens. And at that point, the mainstream was, more chimp-like. So what? It's still the kind of person I am, the kind of people, my natural inclination. Some of the language, it's a little nitpicky, but they talk about we don't need a Mexican to make a taco. It's like nobody else invented the taco. I mean, I think we do. And as far as we don't need them to make tacos once we've heard about them, yeah, I also mentioned that. I said part of the beauty of the integration is that some French guy will fall in love with Thai cuisine and open a Thai restaurant. Now, whether people that like the historical flavors even view that as a Thai restaurant, I don't care. I like that. But people talk about we don't need to ship people around the world in order to do this. I'm not supporting shipping people. Shipping people is what they did in the slave trade. Okay, I am for individual freedom and autonomy and personal sovereignty. I'm for the idea that an individual can go anywhere they want in the world. Generally, they can't move into your house, but they can buy the house next door. And one thing that's ridiculous that was mentioned is that when I was talking about, human rights is the bottom line. I'm not into, adopting the parts of cultures that deny human rights, which is evident in most cultures. I mean, an advocacy of human rights is generally a subcultural thing at this point. But of course, people claim, human rights is a cultural artifact as well. No. Human rights is a philosophical concept which has been created by collaboration, mostly by subcultures, by oppressed people. And you can see why, because there's a systematic bias among oppressed groups to realize why oppression is wrong. But again, I'm not supporting the preservation of individual rights, of cultural identity in of itself as a complete culture. Let's preserve the whole culture, including the part where you get your hand cut off for stealing bread when your children are starving. Supporting individual freedom. I'm supporting the idea that the cost of war, which is the inevitable result of cultural borders, is far more costly than any of the chaos. There is some chaos inherent in mixing cultures. I do agree with that. And there's some cost of open borders. For example, criminals makes it more easy for international criminals and so on and so forth. But those costs are nothing compared to the cost of war. And somebody said, internal strife and civil war. Civil war is possible because of integration, because the people in this state speak French and this part speaks English, and they have their own culture and they have their own culture. Okay. When you have neighborhoods, when it's more integrated, even if there is some self-selected or isolation, it's far less likely to happen. You might have a riot in that neighborhood. Well, that's a lot better than a war of a whole millions of people versus millions of other people. And the numerical actual cost of that is absolutely greater due to war than it is due to these problems like urban strife. And civil war is merely a fact of where isolated cultures exist in, something that for some historical reason has been a single nation. And they seek to make their own nation or to take over that nation and dominate it. And this is possible because of that segregation. With more mixture, you don't have that. Now, I definitely prefer not allowing slavery in the North. But if you had either had not had slavery in the North and South in the U.S., or both had slavery, then the Civil War would have been much harder to justify. And it was a very costly conflict. Again, very costly compared to the murder statistics in a city due to ghettoization.